Hello. Yeah. What Today we're doing a Burnley vs Arsenal preview. As you can see, it's me, Z, and George. Were Last week we beat Norwich 1-0, and now we're gonna talk about our next game and see whether we can start from form. Yeah. What do you guys? Before we really go into, how are you guys?
Good, man. Good. I think in general, we got a little bit of just calmer timelines. I think, when you look at the performance, like there was enough green shoots that even people that are really pessimistic on our chances and what we are can recognize that a little bit of quality does make a difference. And not just a little bit of a difference, like a huge difference to what you see. So it was just nice to see that. And I think it's interesting that a lot of stuff has come out in the last like couple weeks where you're looking at whether it's managerial defenses or whatnot. I think the direction of the club is very, very clear. And I don't know if maybe what the online worry has translated to in the stadium, because I don't know, I didn't see too much issues in terms of away fans and how people were treated from, the last match. Like I think there's a very clear disconnect from like Twitter, which looks like we're horrible and we're going to be horrible for a while, versus what maybe I think the fans in the stadium actually feel. So like that was nice to see. And I think Mikel looks a little bit more renewed in terms of his press conferences. And, I don't want to look into and make this really a managerial debate, but I just feel as though that there's a corner that looks to have been turned. And I see this as the perfect game to like really cement it, like really show fans that we can last 90 minutes of a proper plan. And I think that only comes with, Thomas Partey getting his start, which I think we're very likely to see. How about you, Z? What do you think?
Yeah, I was quite excited just seeing like the whole. It looked like a brand new 11 when I looked at the team versus Norwich, and to see the way the team played, it seemed like there is at least a little bit of direction. And I feel like it's a positive one. And to be fair, now I think what we need to do is just build on the results and you just stop, go on a run. And I think after the Burnley game, even we've got Spurs and I believe do we go on an international break after that one? So look, there's a time for a break and we can come back, rejuvenate, and just go on a run again. And I think that's how like the season will go. So, but for now, it's just game after game, and I think we need to focus on Burnley. And it's going to be quite a different game to the one that we had versus Norwich. But I feel like, we're probably best suited to playing teams like Burnley at this moment of time compared to a Norwich that, want to come right at us. So, yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to, dive deep into, how we play versus Burnley.
I think like before we get into the specifics, I don't know about you guys, but I was looking at like the tracking of our fixtures. And I don't know if people have looked at this, but we've got a real opportunity to start the run. Like forget about just, specifics about teams and whatnot. But I think when you look at Norwich, they're a relegated team that come out. I think we all said we're very likely to almost guarantee a win, in that game. I think there was some things that we could have improved on. It wasn't the perfect game. I think we said 6 out of 10 in a lot of our match reaction, but there were reasons for it. I think it was a very comfortable win. Then when you look at Burnley and what they represent as a challenge, much more of a low block and maybe aerial competency, but still an opportunity to dominate the game. And then you go to Wimbledon, another opportunity to dominate the game. And when you start to look at Spurs right now in terms of where they're at, that's another big team that would give you credibility to the rest of the league, but still probably the weakest top 6 team that we could face and the best for carrying momentum. And then you end it with Brighton, who are probably the most progressive of those 3 set of fixtures. I don't know if people were looking at this, but for me, I found us with 4 very low block or low quality transition teams before we meet a progressive team. And for me, that was really important for bedding in the back 4, that technical security. And for me, I don't think you could have got a better group of fixtures to lead up to your Spurs, to your Brighton, before we go on international break. And guys, let's be real. If we rack up a winning run in between that period, it really, really changes the calculus, because then you go on international break and you basically wash the first part of the season. in a mindset sense. So I think the progression of each game is actually perfect. I couldn't, as a coach, wish for something more, you know? So Burnley represents a little bit of a different challenge, but I don't know about you guys, but I just felt facing Spurs after, 3 good wins, if we can manage it, is probably the best case scenario for facing a rival if we had to at this moment in time.
Because we know once if we do go on a winning run, we know what people will be saying. It's Burnley, it's Norwich, it's Wimbledon. Like Spurs were top of the league before last week, so it does give the credibility that you say we will get, and it will just bring the fans back even more, because beating Spurs will make any fan happy, to be honest. And it is a great run if you see it, because for the Burnley game, we didn't beat them last season. Obviously, they got 4 points out of 6 against us. So Arteta is yet to beat Burnley. And if you look at all the stats and XG and all, and how the games actually played out, they didn't deserve a point in any game, to be honest. And we deserve to beat Burnley at this point, and we really need to beat Burnley, because I always praise Sean Dyche, because I think he's a very underrated coach and his system is very good. But I think to break that system down, we're very much capable of doing it, because we've done it. Even against that Burnley game, the 1-1 draw, the Xhaka mistake, we broke them down and we created a lot of chances to actually score, but we were very inefficient and then mistake and the game done. But this time we don't really have Xhaka to do that, and Elneny looks to be back in training. So
I'm just glad, mate, that we don't have a team that necessarily has a hard pressing structure with strong physical outlets. So that's, I think, what I was really getting at when I look across this line. Like even Brighton, who have great progression, they don't necessarily have the physical outlets and, the transition threats. So somebody like a Wolves, somebody like a Crystal Palace, even a United, who, I've already critiqued, I think they would be dangerous in this mindset. And so for me, it was just very important that we don't have that while this back 5, 6 settle in. And then once you get that confidence settled in after 3 or 4 games on the bounce, I'm very confident in facing most teams, because I feel as though that nervous energy from Norwich in the last 5 minutes doesn't happen with 3 or 4 games on the bounce of winning with multiple clean sheets. And so I just think this is a huge opportunity. Probably the last general thing I'll say on Burnley before we get into specifics, because honestly, guys, I see another very much a guaranteed win, and this is a very good matchup for us.
Yeah.
No, I agree with that. I mean, there's no better team to play than Burnley at the moment. If we actually go back to how they played versus Everton, I think Everton opened them up time after time after time, and it seems like what they have a very soft center, which we can definitely look to trouble, especially if we bring on the 2 creators on the pitch with Emil Smith Rowe and Odegaard, and we look to trouble them. Honestly, I can see us, scoring a couple of goals. But it comes down to the efficiency on the day. I just hope to God that Aubameyang and whoever else is in the forward line, they have their shooting boots on. Because
I think Aubameyang has his shooting boots on, because he always does against Burnley.
Against Burnley.
8 goals in 7 appearances specifically for Aubameyang. Like this idea that he can't convert against low blocks is crazy to me, because the epitome of low blocks is arguably his best opponent. When you look at his history.
And with Burnley, and not even just Burnley in general, last week we had 30 shots. And that's probably the most. I think that's maybe the most inefficient
since 2017.
Yeah, so that's probably the most inefficient you'll see our front line the whole season. Because if they're getting 6 shots each in that game, the front line got 6 shots each. That's too much to keep missing, especially when you start scoring, you get into a run. You're going to score more, and giving them that many chances is just a benefit. And with Burnley, you were right in the fact that they have a soft centre, and it's good for us because we have a softer centre than what we have out wide. So us having this, I think we'll do very, very well, and maybe get another 20 shots or so.
I think what we're saying with flirting around the bush is that we can sustain pressure finally. This is kind of the biggest issue for us, and why that shot increase happened. Whether it was the press or whether it was those 20 minutes of ESR and Partey, they gave us finally an ability where in a match for 60 minutes, we were able to control one of the biggest parts of sustaining attacking patterns. We've talked about this on this channel, transition control and final third technical security, right? So with Thomas Partey and with the counter press, maybe we didn't have the greatest technical security, but we squeezed the pitch so much that we were able to dominate those 30 minutes. Whereas in the latter, we had people that could control transitions. So we were able to keep those patterns going because the counter press allowed us to keep the ball in the final third. It just gave us more opportunity. Great, because we didn't have all our starting players. So there was clearly kinks, but it lets people maybe understand kind of why people maybe are confident for Burnley, who, let's have it right now, great system, compact, but their threat comes from wide and their physical strikers for knockdowns of second balls and their defensive set pieces and offensive set pieces. That's Burnley's threat. They're not going to cut you apart in the center, right? So when you're looking at it, if we're compact in our build-up, we're able to play outside the first press, and we're just able to secure defensive set pieces, which, by the way, I think this is our tallest back line for years, like a decade. Yeah.
Something like that. But
so I think when people are afraid and they make like a lot of mishaps about Ben White's aerial ability, which I think has been a little bit weird, I think that you have the tools and the people available right now to not be worried. ESR will start the game. He couldn't, he was ill. We have Partey, who had 20 minutes. He's very likely to start the game. So, yeah, I'm very, very confident. And maybe we could get into the specifics. I don't know, Z, if you had anything broadly speaking about why you're confident, but
I mean, look, to be fair, there's a lot of factors to why I think we could win, and I think something that is very significant is the change of goalkeeper for me. For me, I feel like that instills a different kind of confidence that you wouldn't usually have going into a game like Burnley, because you would expect someone like Leno to, not be able to sustain the pressure that the Burnley players will give him, and having someone like Ramsdale, who's probably been, he's basically, we can say he's been birthed into defenses like Sheffield and Bournemouth, where he's had to face stuff like this all the time. And that's his bread and butter. So I feel like, him being in those kind of situations will probably instill a lot more confidence into the Arsenal back line, and it will give us a different way of playing. And especially, even if, Burnley do decide to go in and press higher as well and pressure us, he has the ability to kick out from the back and, relieve the pressure from Arsenal, and that is something that I'm just more and more excited to watch as games go on, and he has more of a chemistry between the Arsenal defense and the attackers as well. So yeah, this is probably why I'm just looking forward to seeing the changes in tomorrow's game.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think specifically tactically, I mean, we might as well get into it. But when I analyze Burnley, we kind of flirted around with it. But really, they're really this just classic, compact, low block, 4-4-2 old school. And what you're going to see with their biggest thrust is actually down their left-hand side with, Dwight McNeil. And they really look to overload that side, set him free and drive. But what makes me very confident is with Thomas Partey back and Tomiyasu, who, again, won 7 out of 8 of his aerial duels and 1v1 was excellent versus Norwich. You basically take out their biggest attacking threat. And then it becomes a case of, can you deal with their offensive set pieces? And then once again, you mentioned Ramsdale and his distribution, Z, which I completely agree with in terms of beating their early press, which they've looked to do. And, Yo-Yo makes a good point. They do run out early of the press. There's that on the ball thing, but also Ramsdale, in terms of claiming crosses, is excellent. We now have a bunch of people in the back line that can deal aerially with their threats, but also a goalkeeper that's willing to claim crosses that, Leno isn't willing to do. And so when I start to look at everything that they offer in terms of a threat, we have a counter, something that I don't think, despite our dominance last season, we didn't have necessarily. And so, I just really see us doing a madness in terms of the game. I don't think the goal or the score line will be very big, I'll be honest with you. It never is with Burnley. They're such a compact system, but I do see that there's going to be another big shot total. I think the efficiency will improve because we'll be camped in their half a little bit more than we were with Norwich. And I just see us really looking towards a solid 2-0 victory has been my prediction really from the get-go. And I think that Aubameyang will get a goal. I think we're going to continue that run. And I think it's what he needs. I think when you look at the post-match, kind of comments, and also just his interview, he feeds off this energy. We talked about it in the summer, and I think it's just very important if he's going to be your starting striker. I really think that it's important to get him on a goal scoring run, and I also think another option to field this back five, of Partey introduction, but another partnership of that, Aaron Ramsdale in the back four. It's important, right? Because I see that as our first choice, as much as we can this season, and if we can consistently field, Thomas as well as the back five, you've got a really good base to build off. And you add Granit Xhaka, who I know is not everyone's cup of tea, but just factually, that back 6, 7, if you include Ramsdale, is a very solid base to control games and control transitions. So for Burnley, I don't think it's necessarily needed. That's the one thing I'll wrap up on personally. I don't think they have enough outlet threat that I'm really worried about that. And also their best outlet threat is covered by Tomiyasu and Partey, who are our best individual duel, kind of experts down there. And I really see Ben White having a good game because we're going to employ the high line. I see us really leaning into that philosophy, and I see us having another game where he racks up maybe 2 or 3 key passes, which again, he's outdone Luiz's total from last season, which was 2, and he already did 3 in the game. So I see us being able to maybe show a bit more dominance, what everyone hoped Norwich would be. I think we'll see in Burnley. I just don't think the score line will be crazy, personally, just because Burnley are really compact, but you're going to see a lot more domination that you wanted to see.
Yeah, like for me with the Burnley, obviously Dyche coaches very good pressing patterns, especially for what he has in his team.
Yeah.
The team can actually look very well pressed. And I'm going to be intrigued to see how we evade that press, because we did well to evade Norwich's press, because they always press early and always press with their first phase, and then their second phase doesn't push up with them. But Norwich are definitely a better pressing team than Norwich are worse than Burnley, sorry. And with our back five, I'm confident we can evade that press, because obviously White is very good on the ball. Ramsdale is very composed now on the ball and seems to even evade Pukki's press, pinpoint pass to Pepe, and bounces out of play. But like I'm very confident in us evading that press. I would like to see Partey start, and I think he will, with him having that 30 minutes at the end of the game, same as Emil. And I think with them two starting, I'm very, very confident for a win, to be honest, because once we do evade that press, our transition from first phase to third phase and getting chances will get us goals. And I think it will come down to efficiency again tomorrow, rather than just like the Norwich game, because that came down to efficiency as well.
So how about your prediction? I don't know, Z, do you have anything else to add on, like, I guess, the tactical issues in midfield?
To be fair, I don't think we have that many options, but I do want to see Partey and Lokonga start tomorrow, and I think it'll be quite different to see them, play together. I think both of them allow us to actually be a lot more expandable on the pitch, and we've seen them play together in pre-season, and they've had a very good partnership. It seemed like they were able to pick up like chemistry very quickly. And to be fair, like it'll be something interesting to see how they develop, and hopefully it's something that it can be something that we can build on, and in the future, we can play them together in more games. Because I feel like as soon as Xhaka's suspension is over, he's right back into the team, 100%.
Yeah, and like I think I'm not worried with Lokonga's maybe off the ball issues against Burnley. Again, they don't carry a central presence, so for me, this is a perfect game to bet him in. Like, if you could pick games and teams to really phase Lokonga in to like a Premier League adaptation, Burnley's at the top of your list in terms of and even Norwich to be fair, like they don't have a great second phase, right? I think Lokonga for Brighton would be a lot. I think that would be something I'd worry about. I think even for Spurs, they're not great. And so if it had to happen, it could. But I just think we've got the perfect games. Norwich and Burnley were really the top 2 teams. If you had to play Lokonga in the Premier League, I think they're probably the best matchups for that boy. who is doing very well. And like you said, Z, I think their natural instincts complement each other. Lokonga naturally wants to pick the ball up off the center backs, and Partey naturally does better a little bit higher up, where he's just asked to fire balls into kind of zone 14. So they naturally complement each other in terms of what they need. And then you've got Gabriel and Ben White, who from behind squeeze. So even if Lokonga is out of position, you've got them squeezing from behind and Partey controlling from above. That kind of mitigates it. But again, we kind of said there isn't really a central presence in Burnley. So yeah, I'm very excited to see what it does, and I hope it gives people like a window to maybe the future, right? Like something beyond Granit Xhaka, where I think Lokonga gives you a little bit of something different than your traditional deep-lying playmaker that we have in Granit.
It's going to be interesting to see the partnership between Emil Smith-Rowe and Partey as well. I mean, we saw it build up during preseason, and I want to see that continue because I feel like he can start unlocking Emil Smith-Rowe's chances, especially when it comes to having a shot at goal and scoring. So,
is your prediction?
My prediction, 2-0.
Okay, so you 2-0, George 2-0, and all of you guys asking for Curran. He was very busy, and he'll be back in the Burnley review. Yeah, and Villa will be back in the Burnley review as well. He was also busy, but their predictions are, I think, Curran's is 2-1 and Willow's is 2-0 Arsenal. So it seems someone might be getting double points, or two people will get double points if you guys' predictions are correct. And for me, it's 3-1 Arsenal. I just have a feeling that Aubameyang and Saka probably score and just like kind of shut up the haters. Kind of, they've got a lot of slack for their finishing. This week and the past couple of weeks, actually, even though we create a lot of chances, they've got a lot of slack for their finishing, and I just think we'll create too many chances to miss so many. And I don't know why I put the 1 there, but I just think it's my safety net. So yeah, 3-1 Arsenal. I hope it's this, because although I like what's his name, Deitch, Burnley haven't deserved the win against us for a long time, but have got them. So we do deserve a thrashing, but 3-1's a big one against Burnley. So
my thing is, mate, like if it was any other team but Burnley, I'd go for a big score. The fact is, factually, they just don't, despite them being at every disadvantage.
Apart from against City.
Yeah, apart from City, but they managed to keep even the best teams that are more complete, like 1-2-1s, very low scoring games. So I think if it was, again, I felt like Norwich, I thought it was going to be a 3-0, but I had that with Partey. So I think the issue here is just the compact system. But I do think it's a domination in play. Don't get it twisted. Like, I think it'll be 0, but we're going to have tons of chances, tons of possession. And I think people are going to see us camp out and really see that high line that we were experimenting in preseason come to play here, which is interesting. And it kind of builds to what we might see in the future,
Quickly, though, why do I like Deitch? I think Sean Deitch, his system and press is too good for what he's been able to work with.
Yeah, it's very underrated.
He hasn't been able to buy anybody the past 2 seasons, really. And his press is very good. He even pressed Liverpool. And if not for the quality, he does much better. But he pressed Liverpool and then they tired out and then Liverpool won the game. But still, like, I think that, and obviously the voice and the visuals, how he looks, doesn't help him. But I think that's a very underrated coach.
I think also, I agree with Nikhil here about McNeil. I highlighted it. I think it's a very good matchup stylistically. But I think it'll be really nice because against Norwich, he faced Solis, who's a little bit more of a faster type one-on-one, really. And then now you've got Dwight McNeil, who I don't think has explosive pace. He's much more, he's a lot more technical, and he's a little bit more kind of Di Maria-like in profile, as opposed to like that sharp, nippy, explosive player that Solis is, by the way. So I thought he dealt with that very well, but let's see how he deals with a little bit more of a cerebral, creative player. And I think that Yeah, I don't know. On Deitch, I think I agree. I think he's overachieved, but his press, what makes it so good is he's able to keep the spaces small while pressing high up, which is very
Yeah,
tough for people that don't have technical players that you can afford that, like that
especially
compact
in the
system.
midfield.
Yeah, and he bypasses the midfield. So like at the same time of having a very good press and keeping numbers tight, he's able to collapse into shape very, very quickly without necessarily having the most technical players in the middle of the park. So they definitely go long ball in order to keep the ball up, and then everyone shuffles up to kind of their area, right? And then they're able to camp out. But I think they're able to transition really, really well, and that's why he does very decently. So,
Yeah,
and I think Everton, when they did score,
they switch formation.
yeah, they switched formation, but also they were riding a little bit of fan. This is the difference that you're going to see with fan opinion or fan impact on teams is exactly the Everton match because they were struggling with Burnley
They were
at
getting
the beginning.
dominated when they just somehow flipped
And
the switch.
well, a lucky goal to be fair, and then Andros Townsend does a worldie, and then now you've got the fans behind you, and so then that third goal becomes a little bit more of practice. But typically Burnley don't score let you score more than 2 goals. It's not common. It can happen, of course, but it's not common. So
I feel, when I feel sorry for a coach. This just not just in general. I feel sorry for a coach when a 30-yarder goes in because there's not much planning you can really do against that, and then the game just switched on that, and then the narrative was, oh, look at Benitez, tactical switch. He's much better than Burnley. Get them out, Brexit football, and all this stuff.
yeah.
But yeah,
I mean, when you look at it, I don't know, just to wrap up, CK, I think
yeah,
every facet that Burnley are great in, having our back six and, Thomas Partey back is amazing. They're great at second balls. Thomas Partey is easily able to counter that. Dwight McNeil's their biggest attacking threat. Tomiyasu is arguably our best 1v1 defender, even in the short time that we've seen it. I think, Gabriel is a lot better against physical strikers and in the duels, but I think Tomiyasu has shown a much greater breadth of work in that regard. So it's really nice to have our best defensive player in that position for Dwight McNeil. I think having Ramsdale is going to be huge for the set pieces, especially defensively. He's going to relieve a lot of pressure. And like, Z, you said, his distribution will help beat the press that they do start to have. So, guys, I don't know. I just see every tool that Burnley have logically we have a counter towards. And
yeah.
I wasn't this confident in the first couple of games, with this new back line. Because again, guys, we have like 4 or 5 new players to the 11. Like when you deep it.
Yeah, we still haven't played a fully fit one this whole season.
Exactly. And we're still not. I mean, I'd still argue that, Granit Xhaka is better than Lokonga full time in terms of our starting 11, even though the two are very different. But this is probably the closest starting 11 that we'll be able to field all season. So let's see. Let's see what we're doing. Gabriel, excellent on aerial duels. I think across the whole back line, we have an opportunity to deal with their long ball, essentially. Everything that they offer, we have somebody there to combat it. Even if you're worried on White, Tomiyasu's excellent for aerial ability. He will tuck in and he will help him with, Chris Wood or whoever likes to, go against him there. So, yeah, Cornet is probably one person. I think they got Cornet, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. He didn't even know Burnley.
Yeah,
just because it was in England.
Yeah,
but yeah, before we switch, I just want to show the predictions. That's it. So Karen's a 2-1, Willow 2-0. So if it's a 2-0 win, all you three get 3 points and stuff. But obviously, yeah, I think it's going to be 3-1. I really hope it's 3-1. But yeah, Arsenal Burnley. So what other games do you really want to look at?
Maybe let's talk about Spurs and Chelsea. That's the big one of the weekend, probably.
Yeah. I think Chelsea, the way Spurs have looked recently, so against Rennes, they were poor. Against
very poor.
Palace, they got smoked 3-0. It was a poor tactical choice from Nuno to go a flat 3 in midfield, and then when Palace play a 3-1-6, the midfield's really open. So he should have tried attack centrally, but I really don't know what his plan really was, to be honest. But and then Chelsea, who haven't even looked that good themselves recently, but Lukaku, as we said, the efficiency will keep them like going for a bit because Lukaku has been scoring on little chances. But yeah, like what do you expect from the game?
Man, I think there's total domination. I really can't see, and it's not just bias. Like I really look at what Chelsea's really good at: build up, second phase, and then finally efficiency. That's everything that Spurs struggle with. Like their tactical setup is just horrific. It's really, we were talking about this off air. It's like a Liverpool light without the creative or pressing structure in the middle three. And so what you've got are people that are attempting roles that they're just not fit for. And really, Chelsea's build-up is going to kill them. I really don't see any other. I don't see any other option besides maybe a 3-1, and I do that just because one of their outlets are going to score a jammy goal. I just can see it in transition, but it's going to be a very big domination for me of 3-1.
Especially with his midfield choice, like that Palace game really shocked me. Because me, if I was going to play that Palace team with Kouyaté as a lone pivot, you have to like do something centrally. You have to, and then he went a flat three. And do you think there's a problem with Ndombele, or he just doesn't want to play him?
Well, no, there is a problem with Ndombele. That guy's application's horrendous, but I think it's more the system that Nuno's trying to do. It's just not a fit for the players that they have personally. I don't know. I think that Nuno right now, he needs to lean into their counterattacking team. I don't know how else to put it. They've got excellent ball strikers. So forget your build-up. Forget like the pretty and forget the press, which you don't have. Stop going with this kind of 4-3-3 press. Get a pivot in there. Get them solid in terms of just the back line and skip the build-up because clearly you don't have it and you're not doing it with the players.
Yeah, Oliver Skip does not give you that build-up.
No, and just fire it into your forwards who are efficiency monsters. Just spam balls into the half spaces. Essentially, that's what I would do. And I don't even think that they've got the defensive solidity to do it. So I don't know. I think.
What score do you see?
Oh, I told you 3-1.
No, 3-1.
Yeah, and it's not going to be pretty. Like I think Spurs will get like a very cheap late on one or even like a penalty or something. Like they're going to get something given to them. Like it won't be from their own accord. It'll be from a counter or something like that. I don't know. What about you, Z? Am I too harsh?
I think you are because I don't know. I just feel like it's one of those games where I feel like Nuno will probably try and match up Chelsea man for man, and I think he tried to do that when he played Chelsea when he was at Wolves, and he got a result out of it. So I think he will.
Don't you think he had the players to do that though?
He doesn't have Dyer and Tanganga.
Yeah, that's. Do you think
no Mora, no Bergwijn too, right?
Does Romero come in? Or
if Romero say you do, if they match them up, obviously you mean going 3-4-3. So the only back three options is really Joe Rodon, Sanchez, and Romero,
and then Emerson and
it's a wing back.
Emerson right wing back and Regular on left wing back.
Against, by the way, Alonso. Like you have to think of the opposite matchup. Like I think that's suicide. I don't know.
It's tough for them. It's tough for them. Just the quality difference is big, especially with the injuries. But I don't know what it is. Yeah, the whole week I've been saying Spurs 2-1, Spurs 2-1, Spurs 2-1. But I'd love a Spurs 2-1 to be honest. I hate Chelsea. And I hate Spurs. But see, what do you have a prediction or?
I think it's gonna be a draw. Honestly, I don't know what it is about that, but I just feel like just looking at how Chelsea have played in the past few games as well, like they're struggling to create chances,
good quality chances.
Yeah. And I feel like teams are starting to realize like there is a way to defend against Chelsea, and if Nuno is the coach that he thinks he is, he will look at those games and he will set his team up those in a similar kind of way where at least Chelsea will need to be at their very best to fashion the chances against Tottenham, even though Tottenham don't probably have the best players to even like optimize the way they want to play. But it is what it is. I just feel like it's a derby, and
they don't like each other.
They don't like each other.
They really don't. They're likely trying to make up that he hates Chelsea.
Yeah.
But yeah, No, Romero's not a right back. Oh, he is back. I
He's
read-
yeah, no, he's not.
but yeah, I think I don't know what it is, but something's telling me 2-1 Spurs. So I'll just say
Transfer.
2-1 Spurs. I don't. But yeah, any other what? So it's, United West Ham, I think.
That'll be a fun game. I actually think United. It'll tell me a lot how they do. I don't know, and also West Ham because they come back from Europe, right? Like I don't know. This is the first
Yeah.
time that they've had a midweek game. How do they respond? On
Mm.
paper, if they both had fitness, I mean, I think United would struggle with this type of team. I mean, we would struggle. Most teams would. They're a very strong center, physical outlets, good transition team. They're compact on set pieces. I mean, they're a good team. West Ham are good. I really rate them. I think in my prediction I had them 8th. So I definitely I rate them, but I just don't know how they're going to do coming back from Europe. And I know United had a poor result, so they're going to want to turn it around. But United have a better quality of squad to deal with that Europe turnaround. I just don't know how will West Ham deal with that. We've never seen it, to be fair. But like on paper, Rice, Souček with their physical outlets and Antonio, it makes for a tough matchup, man. Like it makes it really, really tough.
Yeah, like for me, if as you said, if it was fully fit teams, I think United would really struggle, especially the midfield battle with Rice and Souček. That's one of the best pivots in the league. And United midfield is probably one of their worst aspects. So I do think, I just don't know how they come back from this. They did win 2-0, so, and I don't remember.
And they look like they put their all into the game. They were pressing like crazy that game. And I don't know how they come back 2 days later and try and match up against Manchester United, who are probably looking back to bounce back after the embarrassing defeat against the young kids in the Champions League. So
that's what I mean. Like on paper, West Ham are arguably probably United's worst nightmare in terms of what they've got, right? Like
red. I swear he's got a red.
Oh.
Yeah. He won't be playing, but they've also got tons of outlets.
They do.
They got Jared Bowen. They've got. Do they have Yarmolenko still?
No, I'm not sure about that. Sure.
I know they have Jared Bowen and who else do they have? Don't they have
they've got
Ben Rama?
They've got Ben Rama,
yeah,
Vlasic, Bowen, Fornals. They've got some players.
It's that pivot for me. It's what you said. On paper, that pivot, and even without Antonio, who is a big loss, by the way, but they still have outlets. So on paper, it's a very intriguing matchup for United. But I just don't know how the turnaround in Europe's going to be. They've never done it, so we have no precedent.
Sorry to cut you off, but Yarmolenko is still there.
Well, there you go. So they've got tons of outlets, even without Antonio, and that pivot will dominate United's pivot. Is McTominay back? Technically, I know he's back in training, but I don't know if he's ready.
I'm not sure.
And I doubt that he plays. So I think they'll dominate the pivot, but do they have enough efficiency to do it without Antonio? Who knows?
For me, I think 2-1 United, just because of the Antonio factor and fitness. But 2-1 United.
Yeah, I swear he did too. That's why I thought he was still on there.
No, he is still there. I just seen his name.
Yeah.
But and I hope Palace beat Liverpool. I just don't see it happening.
That's all hope, no faith.
No, I just don't see it happening. But
can't.
Well, that's the Burnley preview done. You guys predicted 2-0. I predicted 3-1. I think we all hope for a 5-0 win. But current
a good performance. That's all I want to see. A good performance. That even the league homosexuals, come and give us some praise, because you know what, it's deserved at this point.
Yeah, we'll be back. I'm not sure what day, but I'm not gonna commit to a day. But we'll be back reviewing the Burnley Arsenal game. Thank you for watching. Follow George at GeorgeVA_AFC. Follow Willow, the one Willow. Follow Karen BoP. Follow Z Priv Arsenal _Z.
Yes.
Yeah. Follow me, Pure CKK. Follow BoP Footy. Get us over 200 followers. Follow Ball Over Passion on TikTok. Subscribe. We're getting close to 600, so please subscribe and just get us even past 600. Like the video, turn on post notifications, share the video, and we'll be back. after we beat Burnley.
All right. Take care.